A recently released United Nations study is recommending that African countries diversify their economies. The study says that African nations need to reduce their reliance on natural resources and encourage growth in other sectors. VOA's Ndiho has more.
At the news conference in New York for the UN's report, Ehud Dutcher, chair of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, calls on governments and media to help change a negative perception of African economies.
In most of the OECD countries, the picture on Africa is still that this is a continent disintegrated, lagging behind, and that there are not enough private investments coming from those countries, the OECD countries, to Africa. And I can only call to the press, to the governments, to change this picture urgently. Africa will become an important player in the future without any doubt.
The UN study also calls for recognition of the increasingly important contribution of Africa to global economic growth. Ibrahim Hassan Maik, CEO of the New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, stresses the importance of South-to-South cooperation or emerging nations bypassing trade with rich northern nations.
This South-South cooperation, because it can be called South-South cooperation, is thought about in the interests of, because at the end of the day, it's a question of interest, in both the interests of the emerging economies and the interests of the African continent.
Under Secretary General and United Nations Advisor on Africa, Chiksi Diarra, notes that good relations with China and India can spark further investment in Africa.
The relations between emerging countries like China and India give more room to maneuver to African continent in their negotiation with traditional donors, in their policies to attract foreign direct investment.
Some countries, such as Gabon, are diversifying their economy amid declining oil production. Gabon depended on timber and manganese until oil was discovered offshore in the early 70s. But the country's oil output has been declining for years, and Gabon is attempting to renew itself by developing an economic trade zone to attract investment and spur growth. Ndiho, VOA News.
For more information on any of today's stories, please visit us online at voaafrica.com, and you can also visit us on Facebook. Just search for In Focus.